Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor and also internal family systems therapist. Today, we are going to talk about common ways that we protect ourselves from pain or uncomfortable, distressing feelings. There are common ways that we do this, and taking a look at that, right? Because when we do protect ourselves from the parts of us that are carrying feelings, it creates this separation where we're not able to be present for ourselves and others. And so, when we get a little curious about how we are engaging with the parts of us that are carrying pain, or how we engage with ourselves when we feel a feeling that we don't like to feel, that helps us to learn a little bit more about ourselves, right? And so we're going to talk about the common ways that we protect ourselves from pain, emotional distress, and discomfort. One of the first ways, and very common, is using our intellect. And we tend to rationalize or intellectualize our feelings and use logic to help balance our feelings. When logic can be really helpful if we notice that our system maybe leads more with our feelings, logic can be really helpful in a way of creating some balance. However, if we look and lean to our logical part and lean to that way of rationalizing our pain as a way to handle our pain, what can happen is that we do invalidate the parts of us that are carrying pain, because we'll say, oh, that doesn't make sense. Or logically, we know X, Y, and Z, so you don't have a right to feel that way. When the parts of us that are carrying feelings that are big or may not make sense to the part of us that's rationalizing or using logic, well, that's for us to really attend to that part, to really get to understand it more, because it has a valid reason. It has a valid reason for believing the beliefs that it believes and feeling how it feels. We need to get more curious, right, about that. But there may be parts of us that are like, this part doesn't make sense. We don't need to listen to what this part has to say, right? We don't need to listen to the parts of us that are coming from an emotional place or a place that doesn't make full sense. And so we will rationalize our thoughts. Well, that's life. There are going to be some good days and there are going to be some bad days. You don't get everything that you want in life. We'll use these ways to rationalize the pain that we've experienced. Well, they did their best, right? They did all they can do. Are we going to cry over spilled milk? Those are some ways that we rationalize our emotion, our pain, our distress. Another common way of how we can protect ourselves from our pain is through humor. We use that quite a bit. It can help to soften the blow, right? Soften the blow of what happened. It can even provide some type of balm and comfort, as to say, like, how ridiculous, right? If you're leaning to some sarcasm or humor, especially about things that aren't going to change and we've experienced for a long period of time, and we don't know how to change it, right? Those are some things that we tend to make light of. Or, it happened a while ago, so now it's funny, right? And you hear this. I hear a lot of comedians say that comedy is tragedy 2 weeks later, as they use humor as a way to laugh at their pain, to bring some balm to it, because feeling our feelings can be distressing. Sitting with them feels uncomfortable. Another way that we protect ourselves from our emotions, from our feelings, is denial. There may be a part of us that doesn't want to admit or accept that what is happening is happening. And you say, oh, that's not a thing. Or may create a more palatable or easier to digest truth, right? Versus what really is happening. Maybe in shock. Like, there's no way that this is my reality. I can't believe that I'm here right now. And so a denial protector can come up, right, to protect us from accepting our truth as a reality because it's so painful, because it causes so much hurt and discomfort. So we will deny it and then deny other people's pain as well. Oh, maybe that's not what happened. Look at it this way. Oh, that can't be true. Look at it this way. No, they really do. They really do care about you. When really, there may be something that person needs to sit with and think about. Denial helps to protect us from our reality, helps to create some distance from our pain. Another way that we protect ourselves from our pain is also being dismissive of our feelings. It is what it is. What can we do? Or you're just being dramatic. It's not that big of a deal, right? And that may be a way. That may be a way that a part of us is trying to make sure that we don't dive too much into our emotions, right? There may be a part of us, oftentimes there are parts of us that fear us getting stuck in our feelings. Like we get stuck in our feelings, we'll stay there. And we can't stay there. So these are some ways that our system protects us from getting stuck there. It truly believes that we can't handle our distressing feelings. Well, we can. Once we have more access to self-energy and have created a space inside of ourselves for compassion, for understanding, for courage, then we can create a space to be present with the parts of us that are holding big feelings, because they need us. They need us. Another common way that we protect ourselves from our feelings is by venting. Venting, that creates some space. It creates some space away from our pain. Yes, we're talking about it, but it's usually from a place of like frustration and anger. And while those parts of us are valid, right? Anger, it's definitely valid. Frustration is valid. It is not truly attending to the actual hurt and pain behind that, because there can be some scared, hurt, heartbroken parts of us that are being protected by the part of us that's venting, right? Venting about how ridiculous the situation is, or how hurtful the situation is, or how it's not changing. It's always been this way and it's never going to change. That venting place, right, creates a space for us to talk about the situation without actually feeling the situation, right? And so when you are in a space of venting or talking about it from a place of frustration, you can even be mindful and check in with yourself and say, do I feel close to my pain, or do I feel far away from it? And that can help you to know, like, I think I may be venting a little bit instead of really attending to the pain that I need to. Another common way that we protect ourselves from our pain is by medicating it. And when I say medicated, I mean using substances, whether we're talking about food, alcohol, any type of mind-altering substance that's going to soothe the pain. Not deal with the pain, not be with the pain, not feel the pain, but soothe it. If something comes up to activate some old wounds that we didn't know were there or we weren't trying to deal with, then those protectors will come up. Maybe like an emotional eating part or a restrictive eating part. It might be a part that drinks, a part that vapes, a part that uses marijuana, a part that uses any substance, right, to soothe the pain, that you're feeling. And in that moment, right, it soothes it. But we know the shadow side of that is oftentimes they create, right, those methods of soothing the pain, medicating the pain. It creates other issues that other parts of us are concerned about, which is like our relationships, our health, our jobs, right? There are other parts of us that are concerned about how medicating this pain is going to impact us long term. Another common way that we protect ourselves from emotional distress or pain is by staying busy, working, keeping busy. Could be either with connections or like taking on new projects. If you find yourself just like diving into work and taking on multiple things and staying busy all the time, it may be that a part of you doesn't want you to sit still and think about what's happening in your world. Doesn't want you to sit present and be present with the parts of you that are having some really big feelings. So it makes sure that you're busy all the time. It makes sure that you don't have space to think about it. And it shows up in other ways where you may have trouble sleeping because there are thoughts there are parts of you that need your attention. They get your attention late at night, right? Or it shows up where maybe you might start to have or experience anxiety or anxiety attacks because the parts of you that need your attention, they're trying to get your attention, but there's another part that's keeping you busy because it's frightened of what will happen. What will happen if you attend to your pain? It doesn't believe that you can handle it. And so that's why it's showing up, to make sure that you're protected from it. Another way that we protect ourselves, or a common way that we protect ourselves from emotional distress or pain, is by dissociation. And I will say that dissociation sometimes has like a stigma towards it. I have grown to find a great appreciation for it, as oftentimes this shows up very, very earlier in age when a child is like very young and there are maybe some distressing things that are overwhelming. It's too much to handle. And just having a way of checking out, like going somewhere else in your mind, or doom scrolling, as they talk about it, where you are taking in a lot of content or taking in a lot of streaming of shows and things of that nature, where you can just kind of check out and not attend to what's really happening, or whether it's video games, whatever type of way that you use to kind of just check out and not deal with all the things, right, that you're really carrying, because again, it's too distressing. It's too much. That's what this part feels. And so it has to come in to make sure you're safe, and it'll take you out of your reality, take you out of where you are in the present moment, and create a space where you're protected from your reality. The last way that we protect ourselves from pain is by blaming ourselves. Yep, you heard me. Blaming ourselves. The way our brain handles distress, especially proactively, is we know it creates proactive measures, right, to make sure we feel in control. And a way that we can feel in control of our pain is blaming ourselves for it, so that we can try to prevent it. We put the pressure on ourselves to make sure we're not hurt again, when really it can be a much bigger, and it usually is a much more complex answer to why a certain event or thing happened to us, right? There's so many different factors externally, system-wise, that contribute to some things and pains that we experience in this life. But how our brains take that in is by making sure that we feel like we're in control by blaming us for it. Well, you need to look for X, Y, and Z to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because our brain, it doesn't know how to handle ambiguity. It doesn't. It needs certainty for sure things. So for it to say like, oh, this happened out of circumstance, or this happened because of the systems that were at play, that's too big. That's too big for our brain to really take in. We need something concrete that we know for sure, right, is going to prevent this thing from happening again. So we blame ourselves. We blame ourselves for the pain that we experience in our life, to hold ourselves responsible for it, when usually it's not our fault. We may have a part that we play in it. That may be true, but there's usually so many other factors that are at play when something happens to us. Let me know your thoughts. If any of these resonated with you, or other ways that you feel that you protect yourself from your emotions and your feelings. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And if you have stuck around this long, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.